Okay, so now
cool.
It's hard enough alone. You should know. The scars you never showed me. Your eyes that turn away. Angelina, to God for you I pray. Angelina, I wish you weeping. The times I stayed awake and watched you sleep. Your innocence would move me. At times you made me scared. I got scared of you.
there we go.
Angelina, my love for you I care. Angelina, in silence you would speak to me. A simple touch from you, and I grew weak. Get now, woman. You finally let me hold you. The day before you died. Angelina, my angel in the sky tonight. Da, da, da. You finally let me hold you. The day before you died. Angelina, Angelina, my angel in the sky. Oh, I love you, baby. I love you, woman.
That was killer. Jeez. Whew. Wow. I
Yeah,
don't think
I was basically carrying that singer.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Brad Rabuchin.
yeah.
Hello, Brad.
Hi, Kathy. How you doing?
Well, yeah. So now I can tell you that I'll just tell you a little. I won't bore
Okay.
everybody with everything, but yeah, I've just been this this week has been one of those hellish. What do you call it? Like um, see, now my brain has stopped.
Yeah.
You know, technology. It's been a really bad technology week, and it has to do with computers. You know, whose computer is working in the house, and who's to use, and you know, strange problems. Boy, man, you got to have at least 3 computer people working for you, because you know, even if you love one of the other computer persons, it doesn't mean necessarily they're going to know the answer. Oh, I just have to tell you one thing, and then I'll stop talking about me. But
Sure.
at one point yesterday, for an hour, I had 2 phones. One had Earthlink on it, and one had Apple. And they were talking about this problem, and they were both saying it was the other responsibility of the other
Oh,
place.
nice.
And so they were not the ones to fix the problem, obviously. But that's the kind of week I'm having, you know. Whew. Anyway, I am so glad you're here. And that song was, I've heard that song before, but I don't think I've ever really heard Ray, like seen or heard Ray sing like that. And that was beautiful. And your solo was just killer. It's great.
Yeah. That was. I really enjoyed playing that song when we did it it's really, a song that really has a mood to it.
Yeah.
And he was real serious about, like lyrics and stuff. And he, in other words, he wouldn't sing a song if he didn't remember the lyrics. If like some songs dropped out of the set if he couldn't remember the lyrics anymore, because that was so important to him. In other words, the story and portraying whatever the song was. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a. I'm glad that got recorded.
Amazing. Yeah. Really, really beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and of course he can't just look at the lyrics, you know, like I can.
Right. Well, yeah, and not like he wouldn't, not like he wouldn't, let's say, figure out what the lyrics were if he forgot some of it. But in other words, he wouldn't sing a song just like if you asked him to sing a song, he wouldn't sing it if he couldn't remember the lyrics at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
He wouldn't BS through it.
Well, would tell us a little bit. We might as well just jump in there.
Yeah.
Uh, when did you get the gig with Ray? How long were you with him? And how was it?
Well, I got the gig in 1998, and I played with him till 2004. So I played with him.
Oh, wow.
So like, what's that? 5 years, 5.5 years, and so I was his last guitar player.
Oh,
And I played. I guess the last gig he ever did, I played with him.
did he pass after that?
Yeah. He died in I want to say May 2004. Something like May. Yeah, I think pretty sure it was May. And it was May, April. It's May.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I know a few people have worked with him. Paul Krybek was one.
Right. Yeah. Of
Was
course.
he
Yeah.
earlier than you?
Yeah. He was. Although he came and subbed sometimes.
Oh,
Because he was sort of on the list of the cool guys to have come back and play. So and that was cool. Always cool when he played. But yeah. But he was like in the 80s,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think. Much earlier.
yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing actually how many people have played with him at one time or another.
Well,
because
he had such a long history.
right,
Um,
and he used to, for years, he would, basically they would get on the bus like in late January, early February, and maybe not come back until November or December. In other words, whether it's in the bus or getting on a plane and going somewhere. And by the time I was playing with him, it slowed down some, but I was still gone like 200 days a year.
wow. Were you
Yeah.
married at the time?
I was, yeah, yeah, and still am somehow.
That's a miracle. And you have a daughter.
And I have a daughter. Yeah, yeah, all those things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he was funny because he would be, he would like go home for a weekend or whatever, and he would already be like, oh, when's the next gig? In other words, he wanted to get out and play, as much as possible, and so it caused actually sometimes we just played too much because he just wanted to play.
I
And
think
he
I
didn't
talked to
have to.
somebody who was on one of his planes that went down. I think it was Paul,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Paul was on the plane that crashed
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Cornfield.
That was quite the story.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the people told me that so it was his plane, Ray Charles'
Right,
personal
right.
plane that crashed, and that the plane was kind of getting kind of rickety, and then at one point they went to I think Phoenix to get it repaired, and then they came out the next day to get back on the plane, and there was like duct tape on the wings. They were saying this is kind of a bad sign,
Yeah,
and
kind
and
of a
and
bad sign.
yeah, and then not too long after that, it ended up crashing in the cornfield. You know, but
That's,
but no one died. I mean, it's.
no one died. Yeah, right. Um, yeah, yeah, that story was good. I have to go back and listen to that story from Paul's interview. Um, there's a few people saying hi. Taylor Hatch,
Oh, cool.
Greg Atkin,
Yeah.
Roland Ascaruns, and L.M. Booker says when he was young, like 20 something in the early 40s, he had his own apartment in Seattle. The young musicians who were all playing in speakeasies while they were in high school idolized him. They reported that he would take his horn completely apart on the counter to clean it. Wait, are we talking about Ray? He walked downtown along the curb at a clip with no cane.
Well,
Oh,
he did play sax.
oh, okay.
I don't know how I don't know if he was playing sax at that point, but yeah, that could be what she's talking about.
He walked along the curb at a clip with no cane.
Yeah,
Gotta
that's
be like, you gotta have a certain head frame for that, I'm sure.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, he was a force of nature. I mean, even when I was playing with him when he was much older.
How did you get the gig?
Well, it's kind of a interesting story because I knew some people that were playing with him, and I was curious to do the gig, so I said, well, what do I do? And they said, okay, send in a tape. So I sent in to the office, so I sent in a cassette tape. This is back when cassette tapes were which what we used, right? And so I thought, okay, well, what's he going to want to hear? He's not going to want to hear something produced or like something with a lot of tracks and stuff because like if I was auditioning for Britney Spears or something, then I'd maybe send in something that's polished and
Yeah, yeah.
effects and stuff and all these tracks. But
Uh-huh.
so I just took like one of those old portable cassette players and just played like acoustic guitar, like played like a blues and I think summertime and just sort of played and kind of riffed on, jammed on some things. In other words, very informal, but the idea was, okay, you can definitely hear this guy is playing the guitar. It's not fixed. It's not, you
Yeah,
know, in other words, it's not something you would send to most people
yeah.
because it had the noise and stuff, and so I sent it and I guess I got the gig, but then an old guitar player came back, so I didn't get the gig at that point, and then like a year or two later, I got a call just randomly from his office. Can you play, like tomorrow night in the Concord Jazz Festival? And that was my audition. Sort of get on a plane and go, that's up, up by San Francisco, and so that's how I got the gig. That was the audition was to play a gig with them and not lose it. or, or not suck, not
You
suck too much.
you apparently enjoyed playing with him because I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have lasted 5 years. Um, what was your impression of him overall?
Well, it was, even though I was, a bit older when I played with him, it was a real education,
Yeah,
because there's sort of an intangible thing you get when you play with people that are, that great, that important. I got a lot out of it just as far as like, um, how to play, how to take things seriously, because he was so in the moment more than anyone else I've ever met in my life. When he was playing, just in his life in general, but also when he was playing, like 100% concentrated. Not, how we get sometimes get distracted. We're worrying about, oh, do we suck, or is this person listening, or my sound isn't right, or whatever. But he was just, he just sort of pushed that all aside, and he would, in others, like if he would say something like in the, like, yeah, or something, in the middle of a song, it was real. It wasn't like fake, so if he reacted, like if he reacted to something you played favorably, it like would go through you like a, like a shock,
right.
because it was just so real and so sincere, and he could be sometimes sloppy and stuff, and he wasn't always, metronomic in the sense of like a metronome or something, but
Yeah,
it was just always real, it was always, he was right there, and it was pretty magical, especially, because there's one thing to watch someone play, but there's another thing to be on the stage with someone, right next to them, and being, not just him, any player, in other words, when you play with someone, you get you're inside the music, like when you sing on a gig, it's different from when you're watching a gig, as
yeah,
far as you since you're part of it, you can feel how everything is rubbing together and interacting, and if it's working or not, if it's locked in, if it's real or not, if it's, you know
yeah,
just all those things,
yeah,
and yeah, and that was, and he was so in the moment, and that's one of the things, so he could be, pretty, he could be rude and insensitive sometimes, but I think a lot of times it was just he was so in the moment, as far as like, so when because he's famous for snapping at some musicians and stuff,
yeah,
but I don't think it was necessarily deliberately mean. It was just sort of, there was no filter.
yeah,
In other words, this is what I'm feeling at the moment. This is not, or this is what I'm, whether it's positive or negative, it's just going to come out, because he's just sort of a conduit for whatever, which that was, one real lesson, is just sort of, like, try to cut the bullshit out. Not that I want to tell people, like, negative stuff, with no filter, but as far as just sort of trying to be a little more honest, and a little more in
yeah,
touch with what's actually happening, and what actually you're feeling, or the people around you are feeling, as opposed, or playing if it's music, as opposed to sort of having all these, you know, barriers or whatever, or fears, or
yeah,
whatever it might
yeah.
be. Because he was fearless.
It's great. That's great. And it's interesting. It's cool that you brought up his personality too, and in relation to that, because I, in the back of my mind, I was thinking about some of the stories I've heard, but to hear you speak about his musicality and being in the moment seemed more important, more, more important overall. But then,
Yeah, yeah.
but then it's good, cool, because it is all a reflection of that perspective, and you're right, it is a great perspective to have, to have, of course we all want to be kind, but you know
Yeah. Well,
sometimes just the direct thing is really important.
yeah, and just kind of on what you were saying, when I got the gig, I was thinking, because I'd heard all the stories too, and I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to do this for a minute, and get the resume, and get that on my resume, and get the chance to play with him, and as I did it, it was kind of like, well, actually, this is not perfect, because there was some, interesting challenges about the gig, but it was but it was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it, like I said, it was real.
Yeah.
Even I played Georgia probably 1,000 times with him, and still, it kind of meant something, even though I'd played that song many times, on casuals or whatever before, and kind of think, oh yeah, George's, we'll play the song and roll over it, and but yeah. Anyway, that's what I was gonna say. It was worth sticking it out.
How did it change your playing?
Um, one thing, he gives you, well, at least as far as a guitar player, because I'm soloing and stuff, and my parts aren't as set, let's say, as a horn player in a section. So he gives you a lot of freedom to do what you want as long as you're within the parameters of what he'd like. So I definitely have a weird side to my playing that's more, modern, twisted, angular,
Yeah.
whatever.
I like your playing.
And so I had to, I had to sort of be more kind of bluesy and I don't want to say melodic, but I guess I'll say melodic. And not shred. Not that I'm
Yeah.
necessarily a shredder, but because he really like that solo that I played earlier. I really tried to leave a lot of space, and he helped me learn about leaving more space and letting things happen, and having and playing things that mean more instead of just like playing some sort of fast, flashy lick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because going back to what I was saying about it, he wasn't into that, and not that he would like say that sucks or something,
Yeah.
but you could tell, because I'd get a good reaction, like a yeah from him or something when I would play, something sort of slow and bluesy and melodic. And sort of helped me to value that more. Not that I didn't value it at all, but to realize the importance of just trying to say something when you play. Try to, so that was, I guess that was the, one of the biggest lessons.
Yeah.
And
I
that
can
changed my
totally
playing
relate
in
to
that way.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
I can totally relate to that. I argue with myself about that, especially in the studio, you know, um, because part of me doesn't want to be too simple
right.
for whatever reason, it's not hip or what, I don't know, whatever. Or maybe I don't think I think what I do better is when I'm not that simple, but if I try too hard, there's the sweet spot in between where
Right.
you connect into the muse, and that's it. And if it's simple, that's what it is. Actually,
Yeah, whatever happened.
I interviewed Dean
If you get out of
Park.
the way. If you get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dean Parks interview I did
Oh yeah, that
last
was
week.
good, by the way.
So the first tune, it was him and Tim, the guitar player. They were playing the Tears in Heaven. And
Tim Pierce.
yeah, and it was so simple.
Right.
And it was so frigging beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, and simple. And, they weren't flashing around at all. They were just playing the song. It was so pretty, man. Yeah. So I think that's a real challenge for artists, is to find that balance, of truth and, of course, you just want the truth all the time, but
Right. But
yeah.
the truth, and sort of making yourself look good, be cool enough.
Yeah, man, because Lord knows we have to be cool.
Yeah.
You have a few comments here. Let me just, Taylor wants to know, are you still using the Sadowski Jim Hall guitar?
Yes, I am.
There you go.
Yeah.
Roland wants to know, he's curious about your work with Al Kooper. What did you do with him and for how long?
Well, that was a long time ago, and I play bass also, and I played bass in a blues project for a minute, when he was in Los Angeles, and he was mostly playing guitar, and always playing wearing dark glasses, and being kind of, but mostly we were doing like blues covers, like old blues stuff, and we played, like at the Central and stuff, which is a club that's not there anymore.
Uh-huh.
The Viper Room. I don't know if the Viper Room's even there anymore.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Um, but anyway, yeah. So we were, and it was sort of that kind of vibe, kind of a blues. I was playing like a classic precision bass, doing that thing, and it was fun and interesting, interesting to play with him, because obviously he started Blood, Sweat and Tears and played organ on with Bob Dylan, so did a few things.
So that was interesting. Yeah, you have well, I want to get into this, but I before I forget and go too far on, Taylor has two questions
Okay.
that I think are good. And then, yeah. So one question is, from being on the road so much, what has the experience taught you about preventing burnout or exhaustion? Did touring with Ray Charles give you any perspective to your health on the road? And then, knowing your playing style, I'm curious if Ed Bickert was ever an influence in your playing. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can remember all of that. Um,
Being on
so
the road and burnout, and then
yeah,
the
yeah,
other
yeah.
thing is Ed Bickert.
Well, being on the road, is it can be so different, depending upon the situation,
Yeah.
and I've done other stuff too, because depending upon if like I played with Jesus Christ Superstar, the tour for a minute, and that you'd be somewhere for a while, you'd go somewhere and you'd be there for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a different thing from, like the Ray thing. We're going, we're rarely in the same place
Every
more
day,
than
right?
every day, and like the most extreme thing was once let's see, we started in New York. We flew to Estonia, which is all the way, by Russia, played a gig. And this is in the winter too, so it was really cold. And then we went to Paris and did a gig. Then we came back and did a gig in New York. Then we went back to France and played somewhere in northern France. Then we came back and we played in Florida.
Oh
And
my
this was all
God.
within like a week.
Wow.
In other words, every day we were getting on a plane and going, and that's really hard to sort of keep your there's a joke, sort of, people would say Ray Charles, he's the one that plans the itinerary, and he does it with a dart on a map of the world. But
Funny.
anyway, it's the thing about being on the road like that is it's really hard to practice. You'd think you have all this free time, but you really don't, because you're spending, even if it's something less crazy like what I just described, still you're spending so much time getting to the next place, and then trying to find something to eat, get into your hotel room, do a sound check, so in some ways it's as I played less when I was on tour than I did at any other time in my life, because you just don't have that time to to devote, and as far as the health thing, I've always been a vegetarian since I was about 18 or 19. So I ate pretty well, and I don't really drink or anything. So I fared pretty well, but well, to make long story longer, we were doing this one of these things where we were playing, and we were doing just with Ray's bass player, guitar player, and the Raylets and the drummer, and we were picking up a different band, and we were going through Western Europe, like mostly France, and the bass player was partying every night. And so basically we'd get on a plane, like usually like at 4 a.m, and get to the next place, or leave at 6 a.m, get there, have a few hours, do a sound check, rehearse with the band, do the gig, then the next night do the same thing. And he was so anyway, he ended up like having a seizure, like when we were rehearsing in Vienna, and so I ended up playing bass actually
Wow.
with having to step up and play bass because he wasn't smart enough to just realize, if I don't do things perfectly and sleep enough, I'm gonna, not be, it's not gonna work out well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Ed Bickert?
Oh, and Ed Bickert. Well, indirectly, because I studied with Ted Greene for a good chunk of time early in my development, and through him, I became aware of Ed Bickert. But as far as the whole Telecaster thing and that type of playing, it's I'd say it's more from Ted Greene. Just Ed Bickert, those I appreciate him, but he's sort of a peripheral influence.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, Ted. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually
You
just
heard of Ted
sending.
Greene, right?
I got an email from a guy in the Netherlands who
Yeah.
wants, I have that video and
Right, right.
yeah, and CD, so I'm sending it to the Netherlands.
Cool.
I love it. I love when people reach out from all over the place, because it just brings up the whole Ted thing again. He's just he was such a treasure,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, and I saw you several times sing with him. I mean, this,
Wow.
I didn't know you at the time,
Yeah.
but that was very cool.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the first time I met Ted, he came to Dante. I was a waitress at Dante's when
Okay.
my first second year here in
Yeah.
LA, and he was there. And I don't know if you knew this, but he became very sensitive to sound, and he fainted
Oh wow.
because he was just over. It was just too much,
Overstimulated.
right? And and when he awoke, I was looking at him.
Yeah.
And so then I knew about Ted because I had gone to Berkeley right before I moved to LA. And at that time, most of the musicians were guitar players. So
Right. Yeah.
Ted Greene was floating around Berkeley at that time.
Yeah.
So when I found out it was Ted Greene, I was like, oh, Ted Greene. Yeah, I know about him. And yeah, and he turned out to be like my second gig in LA.
Oh, cool.
But anyway,
Yeah, that's a good start.
yeah, it was great. It was amazing. I'm just, yeah, I love Ted. So it sounds like there was a lot of blues in your background. Is that true?
Well, there was a lot of all kinds of stuff in my background because when I was first learning how to play, a lot of it, I didn't go to Berkeley or something like that, so I'm a little more self-taught, I guess I'd say,
Yeah,
than maybe some other people that are sort of ended up in more of a jazz type thing.
yeah,
So I just was just real interested in just playing with, and do any playing I could, with anyone.
yeah,
And plus I'm real curious about a lot of different styles. So I've done a lot of different random things that aren't really that closely related, necessarily. And always try to take something away from it and learn something and but yeah, I've gone in and out of sort of blues stuff, but I've played with some country artists and done obviously a lot of jazz stuff and a lot of world music, some Persian music, you know, um, just yeah, just all kinds of because interesting, sort of all the different, there's a lot of different cool types of music,
yeah.
you know.
Um, what is Taylor's saying something else? Uh, Alongside Ted, who of course was the genius that he was, did you apply a lot of Mick Goodrick's techniques and chordal applications at all in your playing and practice?
Um, well, again, he's someone I'm aware of and I've took some things from.
Yeah,
But I would say, again, if we're like talking about a primary influences, that wouldn't be a primary influence.
yeah, yeah.
Although I definitely appreciate him,
Right.
you
Mick
know, and,
Goodrick, he was
and
amazing.
and a real interesting way of thinking about music and stuff. Real, I would love to have gone to Boston and study with him for a minute and just to get
Yeah.
my head twisted.
Did you happen to see him and Joe DiOrio at MI?
No, no, I wish I would have.
It's incredible. Oh my God. They were in such a universe. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. Someone, yeah, a friend of mine just, Joe Jewell just shared like there's a record they did, that's on YouTube now, called I think called Rare Birds.
Oh yeah, Rare Birds. I
You know,
have
that's
them.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely one of those people that's sort of flown. Well, and Joe DiOrio too, sort of flown under the radar. But
Yeah,
really important. There's and Ted's like that too. Lenny Brode's another one.
yeah, definitely Lenny
Sort of these
Joe.
guitar players that sort of for reasons of various reasons just aren't sort of in the first rank of guitar that
Right.
people talk about. But Lenny Bro, that would be someone that was a big influence, as opposed to, let's say, Mick or
And he was here too.
yeah, he was here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely saw him play, and that was, so if
That's
we're looking for
definitely.
sort of big influences, that would be,
Yeah,
I'd say, Lenny Bro, or, Bill Frisell,
yeah.
or
You know,
John
I
Scofield.
know I'm talking to the choir here, but how can you not be impressed with guitar players? I mean, to me, you know how singers often like gravitate towards different instrumentalists,
Yeah.
and I've always gravitated towards guitar because it,
Yeah.
it has a particular blend, and
Right.
of course I'm talking about a good guitar player, but
Yeah.
has this blend of very definite melody and space and these chords that are so endless in their voicings. And I remember the first time I heard Anthony Wilson, I was
Yeah.
so blown away because he had all this stuff in there that was delicious, And anyway, I mean, all the guys you mentioned, Schofield. I mean, it's just God. Just guitar is so intricate and beautiful, and it's a really great instrument when it's played well.
Well, to me, it's sound weird, but in the right hands, it can be more intimate than a piano,
Yeah,
because it can be more delicate. I mean, not that a piano can't be delicate, but just especially someone like Ted or Bill Frisell or something, some of leaving a lot of space and just letting things ring, I guess. Because there's a certain cool thing you can do with
yeah.
sustain on a guitar,
Mhm.
that's just yeah. I mean, yeah. I I think I'll keep playing it. I think I'll stick with it until I get it down.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Uh, yes, Roland, I know. Roland was a guitar player, and he said, "I knew there was a reason for loving you, Cathy. I'm only sorry I ever stopped playing my guitar."
Yeah.
So I know you're from LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you came up, or did you immediately go to guitar or bass? And did you have siblings who played, or your family? Was your family musical?
Well, my parents, they were dancers and they met as dancers.
Like
Uh,
dancers?
like ballroom dancers,
Uh-huh.
they taught dance at Arthur Murray Studios, which is
Oh,
like a
really?
dance studio. But and I guess my dad played trumpet for a minute, but really, even though I'm saying that, really my family, although I have an uncle who was played cello in the LA Phil,
Yeah.
Kramer, who was like one of the top guys. But there. Having said that, there wasn't, not like my family was really playing instruments or anything. I
Yeah.
was I was sort of a
But
one-off.
they enjoyed the art of
Well, they enjoyed
theater.
music. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not like they were playing like, jazz records all the time or something, or
Right, right.
because it's kind of funny because when I think about why I play guitar, it's sort of almost by mistake.
Oh, really?
Because I wasn't one of those kids that was sort of banging on pots and pans or pianos when they were like 3 and stuff. I was kind of into other stuff, and I didn't really start playing guitar till I was 16.
Oh,
Which is kind. I mean, it's a long time ago now, but kind of late as far as most people.
did you
You know,
play bass first or
no,
no?
I played guitar first, and I just was lucky enough to, my mom called this random teacher out of the Penny Saver. If you remember the Penny Saver, it was like a free newspaper,
Yeah.
and he was just such a great teacher. Because I think if I would have had a lame teacher,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have played, but he sort of was able to sort of, unlock that little thing of like, oh yeah, this is kind of cool to play guitar. Because in those, I was just kind of like, it was just something I was doing. It wasn't like, man, I got to play guitar, please get me a guitar.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't like
Yeah.
that. I was, into a lot of different things, and yeah, this guy named Derol Coraco, and he just sort of triggered. He's a guitar player that's around town still, and then the cool thing is then after he's just a little bit older than me. So after about a year, he said, Brad, I really can't teach you anything else, but you should study from my teacher, Ted Greene. And I had no idea who Ted Greene was. And so I'm taking lessons from Ted Greene when I really had no business. He's teaching me basic. I'm not basic stuff, but just borderline basic stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, between the two of them, and it was like,
Interesting.
so in other words, if I had a lame teacher, I think I would be
Yeah.
probably a rich banker or something. So maybe I would have been
But
better.
I'm sorry, that's really interesting. So how old were you when you studied with Ted?
So well, at that point, I guess I was like probably 18.
It's interesting. That's really interesting to me because it just, I mean, I don't know exactly what the basic underlying pinnings would be, but just I get a feel for, oh, so Ted kind of helped give you some of the basic, the basic stuff that everything is on top.
Yeah, exactly. So the foundation of how I think about music, particularly chordal stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
harmony and stuff, it's really all Ted Greene.
Ah,
And then of course I pile all this other stuff on top of it since then.
interesting. Very interesting.
But that's the foundation.
Yeah.
Just how he looked at chords and how he, yeah, and how he was just so, encyclopedic about how, everything was so organized and everything. And so, and in kind of his own way of looking at things, because he sort of figured it out himself, basically.
He was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, as far as chordal knowledge, I don't think I've ever met anyone that's any better.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone's worse. Even the great, as far as just knowledge of how chords, connecting chords and voice leading and harmony and. But it was so funny, because sometimes, I'd ask him about, so Ted, so how would I solo over this? And so there'd be like 2 minutes on how to solo over it, and then all of a sudden we're talking about the chords again. So it's just so funny how he wasn't, so the soloing part of it I didn't, that was sort of, I had to get it in other places, but as far as the harmonic, whole thing,
Yeah.
that's Ted. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah. And thus chord chemistry.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The book. I want to go and play again something
Okay, cool.
from you. And let's see, maybe Wichita Lineman, that one.
Okay, yeah, you can play some of that, yeah. Yeah, there's some Ted Greene harmonics in there.
Oops, sorry. Hold on there. Skip ads. You know what? Oh, I know why. Because I'm not on my computer. Because I actually paid for the professional.
Oh.
Hey, I was going to say, hey, what happened there, man?
They don't realize you're a professional.
Yeah, don't they realize who I am? So this is whose group?
So this is my group.
Yeah.
And this is Ralph Humphrey, the famous Ralph Humphrey on drums, Andy Suzuki on sax, and Steve Billman on bass. And this is the Baked Potato, obviously.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, here we go. This is full screen, please. And did I share? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can see it.
The jokes of musicians off mic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close down here
Yeah.
after your solo.
Yeah. Who cares about the rest?
Excuse me.
Are you okay? Wow.
Yeah, I have a chronic cough. But anyway, Michael Barsmonto has joined.
Cool. Hi, Michael.
And,
Bars.
I don't know if you know Joyce Glasgow, but she gets around. She's from Seattle, and she's a real listener and creative person herself.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm that was really beautiful, and now I have a different point of view of you, because you told me that you've studied with Ted, and that really makes sense.
Yeah, well, you can hear it in that, right? That's all the Ted harmonics things.
Beautiful. Let's see. Taylor is very active today because he's your friend.
Yeah. Hey, Taylor.
What do you
thanks
think?
for
This is
coming.
actually a really good question, Taylor. I might steal this question for everybody. In your opinion, which guitar record, jazz or another genre, is the most underrated, and which one is overrated? Isn't that a good question?
Yeah, boy, I don't, God, but it's a pretty broad. The most underrated. Well, the most underrated are all my solo albums.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I can see how you would say that.
Let me think. Well, there's, God, there's, I mean, it's, God, trying to think. Well, everyone has certain records that sort of hit them at a certain time, and are very influential, that aren't, and funny, sometimes they're not necessarily even the best records by those people, but just it hits you at that time.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like there's a record called Extrapolation by John McLaughlin, which he recorded before he came to the United States and England. It's like a jazz record, and pretty obscure, and that's a really cool record that's really very few people know about. He plays like a version of his cool song, Follow Your Heart, which is a very cool song he wrote, but it's under a different name. It's a but it's a quartet with John Surnham on sax and drums and bass, and John McLaughlin. So I mean, that for some reason that came to mind.
Yeah, but that's really true what you say, though. I mean, it's just what hits you, and yeah, I mean, I can think of underrated artists.
Yeah. That's a little easier, but it's interesting. It's something to think about, yeah, because there's definitely, there's definitely records, yeah, like, there's records like I'm trying to think of something else, that you discover and you go like, wow, this is really cool, and kind of no one knows about it.
You know what I found? Actually, I went to Roland's house. My husband and I went to Roland's house because he got rid of a bunch of his records. My husband collects records.
Cool.
And so he gave us a bunch, and I've been going through them slowly, and one was Larry Coryell and Philip Catherine.
I saw you posted that, Twin House.
Yeah. And what a beautiful, beautiful record. I had never heard of that record. It was so beautiful to hear them both play, and, loving guitar. I was in heaven. But
No. Larry Coryell is interesting because to me, he's a flawed guitar player, but a great guitar player at the same time. In other words, there's, sometimes things just go off the rails a little bit just because he goes for stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a record called, I think it's called Fairyland, that was real influence. So there's another obscure one that was really cool. It was just him playing with a trio, this is years ago. But just when it comes together for him, he's really cool.
Yeah. And do you know, are you familiar?
and different and more of an innovator than he's given credit. Because he was really one of the first, or maybe the first fusion guitar players, the first people that sort of turned up and got crazy.
And were you
Before
familiar with
John
Philip
McLaughlin.
Catherine as well?
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
Philippe? Is it Philippe Catherine or something, or is it Philip?
Probably because he's French. Yeah, or I think he's Belgian actually. The Yeah. Well, here's another one. Here's a really cool obscure album. It's called Open Strings by Jean-Luc Ponty.
Hmm.
And it's again Jean-Luc Ponty when playing with I think Philip Catherine's on this record,
Yeah.
and it's him playing sort of more of a open jazzy style sort of before he came to the United States, and became a little more fusioned out. So there's three.
And what about overrated? That's
Overrated.
probably hard to think of too, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
I mean, the people I would say are overrated, I wouldn't actually say in public.
Right, yeah, yeah. It's hard, yeah, because some of them are still alive, you know. But yeah, there's well, it's just because to me, sort of guitar players or any instrument, there's sort of people that sort of have their own thing and sort of innovators in either a big or a small way. And then there's other people that are sort of that sort of just take that stuff and they kind of don't really do their own thing, and like Larry Coryell, for instance, an innovator, or
Yeah.
Ted Greene or Lenny Breau or all the people I've mentioned, Philip Catherine, and then there's other people that are kind of like, well, they're cool, but they're not, they somehow they don't have a strong personality separate from all the influences that you can hear. Like for instance, there's a bunch of Pat Metheny and clone sort of people that particularly a while back, and there's a fair amount of Schofield clones and
Lee
Holdsworth
Ritenour.
clones, yeah. So that's a long list too. But still, some of those guitar players are really that are these clones are really marvelous guitar players. They're just not. They're not adding their own voice
Yeah.
so much, or
Right.
at least it's not prominent. They're not playing something new. You know,
Yeah.
or not that it even has to be new, but just has to be there. Because yeah, well, yeah. I guess I said enough.
Roland said he saw Coryell with Demiola and McLaughlin at the Hollywood Bowl doing the
Mm,
acoustic guitar
cool.
trios, and it was mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that must have been gorgeous. Wow. That that must be really beautiful. What is Taylor? Oh yeah, Taylor said not many people even speak about Emily Remler.
Yeah,
She
yeah. There's
ended
another.
her
There's another one. Yeah.
sound with an ovation with Larry Coryell and producing records with Tommy Flanagan. Hmm. Huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, there's so many great underappreciated guitar players out there. Emery Remler. And unfortunately, sometimes there are people like her that just kind of died too young.
yeah,
Or Lenny Breau. Another one that sort of kind of died before his time. Or Wes Montgomery, although people have heard of him.
definitely. Definitely have. I keep stumbling on new, well, of course, doing this show too, but I came across Spencer Reed on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know who that is.
and he sounds so good. His wife is who I got wind of him through, Nancy Reed, and she's a great bass player and a great singer.
Hmm.
Oh, and who's that guy from New Orleans that I interviewed? Roland or Dan? Remind me who that is. Oh, you probably know him because he's a Ted Greene fan, and
Oh, I think I know who you mean, but his name is not.
he's always lived in New Orleans. He's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
lived
yeah, yeah,
anywhere
yeah,
else.
yeah. I'm pretty sure I know what you mean, but his name is escaping me. But yeah, he's very good. That
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, he's really good.
and
Oh
and
yeah,
and
DeGray.
and, and,
DeGray.
and very different. In other words, he does his own thing. If we're thinking about the same guy.
It's Phil DeGray.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Roland. Yeah,
Yeah. He's definitely one of those, another person that because some of these people too, they're a little quirky. Like he's a little quirky.
definitely.
And maybe that's part of the problem. Sort of, same thing going back to, Ted or Lenny Breau or something. They're just, they're not what we're expecting a guitar player to be.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. He's definitely quirky. I mean, another guy from there is Brian Seeger,
Hmm.
and he plays with oh well, Brian. Well, yeah, Tuck Andrus too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't really play with anybody else except Patty, right?
Yeah, or solo. Yeah.
He's incredible. Of course,
Yeah.
that brings Peter Sprague to mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we have an embarrassment of riches here. I think there's so many amazing guitar players in LA.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Right. Right. We haven't even talked about people in LA. Yeah. Yeah. What I was gonna say. The thing of kind of going back to what you're saying about how cool guitar is the thing about guitar is it seems like almost more than any other instrument, there's just such a broad spectrum of different sounds you can get. In other words, it can be so subtle, or it can be the most subtle instrument or the most abrasive instrument, in a good way or a bad way. you know, because the Jimi Hendrix and you know, you know, and Ted Greene can be playing basically the same instrument, and be so different, So I don't know if any other instrument has that broad of a spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Who I've been really enjoying lately is Mike Moreno. Are you familiar with him? Guitar player from New York.
I don't think I know him.
Yeah. Really, really cool. Sort of kind of in the Kurt Rosenwinkel school, although
Uh-huh.
although younger. But yeah, really cool guitar player doing a lot of interesting stuff. You should check him out.
Taylor says Peter Mazza from New York too.
Yeah.
Very virtuoso.
Yeah.
Very
Virtuosic.
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 Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But we could name cool guitar players for the next
Forever, I know.
next half hour.
Jay Azzolina, actually, from the East Coast, he's kind of like Anthony Wilson. He has that real mix,
Oh yeah.
kind of bluesy, groovy, and then, more ethereal. It's really nice.
Yeah. Well, he's another guy that no one knows about. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. When he came out here, hanging out with him. Yeah, he's a cool guy and a fine player.
Yeah.
And sort of, Steve Cardenas, another one from New York. Sort of
Oh,
these guys that are really, just right up there with the other guys, but they're just not as, notorious.
Vic Juris, of course, who
Yeah,
just
yeah,
passed away, and
yeah.
LM like Jacques Lejour. Yep, he's good. And um, oh, anyway, yeah, there's a million guitar. We could just kind of be on here for a few hours.
Yeah.
Guitar players.
Yeah. Yeah. Guitar is so 5 minutes ago.
um, what is something that I've never asked anybody on the show this question? What is something that pisses you off in music when somebody does it?
When someone does it,
Yeah, like what is something that really
how much time do we have? No,
really rubs you wrong?
rubs me wrong. Well, I mean, there's obvious things of just people being jerks, I mean, but that's obvious.
Well, musically speaking.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. So that's.
I mean, they are a jerk if they're doing something jerky, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say one thing. Yeah. See, my dog's even pissed off now.
I know. Sorry.
But I do want to say one thing, sort of, one thing that does piss me off about that is musicians who forget how hard it is to be a musician and they take advantage of other musicians. So in other words, let's say they become a little more successful and all of a sudden they're like paying musicians not very well, or treating them badly when they were once sort of at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And then they sort of forget because like if when I'm a band leader, I still try to treat I always try to treat the players that play with me, you know, as well as I can, and realize, that just because now I'm in this position of authority, it's not my chance to all of a sudden, like make 5 times as much as them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. But as far as musically, I think it's musicians that don't listen. Because that's the first thing when I'm playing with people is, with someone new or whatever, is that's the first thing I'm assessing as we're playing the first couple bars is, whatever instrument they're playing is are they listening to what's going on around them? Are they affected by it? Can I affect them by what I play? Because because that the communication between musicians, that's so important to me, and when I feel that a musician is, for whatever reason, is sort of in their own box and they're just going to do what they're going to do regardless of what I play or the other people play around them, then I'm sort of going, oh, okay, this is going to be a long night. And sometimes it's not necessarily has any correlation between the amount of technique or chops or experience, because I played with some of the most famous musicians and most notorious is not the right word. The most famous, well-regarded musicians I played with were kind of a drag in it because they didn't really listen. And again, not they're not listening at all, but in other words, they're not malleable.
They're not open for the conversation.
Yeah, they're not affected by their environment.
Yeah.
Because not that they're not listening at all, but they're just because I really want the people I play with to be able to sort of turn in any direction, and whether good things or bad things happen, that there can be a conversation and it can wind through some different things, and there can be some dynamics and and if I play something soft, it can bring it down, or if I play something aggressive, the band will respond, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And if I play something cool, they'll respond to that. If I play something not cool, they'll just ignore me for that moment. But so that's the big thing. It's just listening. And time, and that they're not dragging or rushing radically.
Yeah, I hear you, and it's listening, I think, is
good. Well, that's what I want you to hear me.
That's right.
That's it.
And for me, when a singer is not just being truthful, I mean, I understand getting up there and having difficulty achieving being in the moment and the space. I understand that. That's okay with me. But for a singer to be pompous about it, and just doing it, and also not being it's kind of along the lines of listening, not being a part of the band,
right? Sure, yeah.
And it's really funny. I've observed myself going literally maniacal in a moment over singers like that, just like absolutely losing it and having to leave the room before I embarrass myself.
Having to be restrained.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It really, rubs me the really wrong way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the relationship between singers and and instrumentalists. I was gonna say singers and musicians, which is not true because singers are musicians also, but but that's part of the problem, right? Right. There's this sort of boundary, and sometimes, and it's a shame because that boundaries, and I think both sides are kind of guilty of creating that boundary sometimes because instrumentalists can sort of think, oh yeah, just a singer, and deliberately not pay, and then singers at the same time, of course, can be sort of ignoring and expecting, expecting unrealistic
blind servitude.
Yeah. So that's an interesting, always an interesting relationship.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to play with singers such as yourself that actually is part of is a musician and part of the band.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And speaking of musicians who are in the band with me, I mean, I have my certain things, and listening is kind of all boils down to listening. If somebody's listening to me, then they're having a conversation with me and
Right, yeah.
we're supporting each other. If they're not listening, basically that's it, right? And they're playing loud, or they're not checking in with what I'm doing, and
Right,
I can't contribute anything because it's their show, not mine, not ours.
Right. When I have a lot of sympathy actually for that particular thing, when there's the thing where the band is sort of, kind of on their own agenda and sort of ignoring the singer, but the singer, yet at the same time the singer is in front of the band, so they're sort of the face of the band.
Yeah.
So you're sort of trapped between a rock and a hard band or something, a rock band in a hard place.
A rock and a hard band. I like that.
Because even if the band screws it up, the singer's going to take the blame. As far as the casual listener, kind of like, oh.
Unless the singer is one of those singers who looks at the band and goes, "What did you just do? That was horrible."
Yeah.
Or oh, please excuse the guitar player.
Yeah.
One of your favorite type of singers to be playing. Hi, Nicole from Germany, and Anita Robles is going to be on tomorrow. She's here.
Oh, cool.
Great to see you.
Yeah, hey Anita, how you doing? Yeah. She's a cool interactive singer. Yeah.
Yeah, she is wonderful. Let's see. Wow, those were good questions. Let's hear some more music. I'm going to look at your links that you gave me. Oh, I'd love to hear solo guitar.
Okay.
That would be really nice. Whoops. Let's see. Whoop. I lost it already. Okay.
I guess not.
Here we go. And I'm going to share the screen. Yeah, very beautiful.
Thanks.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a live stream thing that I that the one of Billy's things,
Oh yeah, Billy Helping.
live at 0 BPM.
Yeah. I wanted to say a few things. One thing is that I've been loving coming over Sundays, and I'm sorry I've missed a few because I really am sorry I've missed them. But Brad's playing with his quartet in Toluca Lake in LA at Michael's on Sunday evenings, from 6:30 to 9:30, right?
No, 6 to 9.
Oh, six to nine. And yeah, it's really good. It's great to go and hear, the great music, great players, great music. And yeah, I'm impressed with your love for Pat Metheny songs. um, yeah, you really seem to have a very strong connection to them. It's really nice.
Yeah. What he, the cool thing about him is that I think more than most any jazz type guitar player, he really connects with people that are non-musicians also. Because I know when I've seen him play, you go see and it's not all guitar players. If you go see John Scofield, for instance, or you know Jim Hall or whatever, it'll be all musicians pretty much. And you go to a Pat Metheny concert and there's people of all, there's people that are not musicians, just casual music fans.
I think, don't you think because his songs are the melodies, I mean,
yeah, they're melodic.
obviously it's the whole thing, but the melodies are very inviting, easy, easy and enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah. I mean, it's not stupid. It's not mundane music, but at
No,
the same time, it's and that kind of interests me, sort of that being able to sort of tread that line to be able to connect to a wider audience, but at the same time not be pandering.
yeah,
And so I like to play his songs because also they connect with people that aren't, because I think part of my job playing is trying to be an ambassador for good music, and try and no, just try not to make it too hard for people. So
yeah.
usually, like when I play, I'll do something kind of a little more obscure. Then I'll do like maybe a Pat Metheny song or something, and I'll just try to sort of give a little bit of dessert after you've had to eat your spinach. And Pat Metheny songs are so great for that. Because also so many of them are so sort of uplifting. They're sort of, you kind of smile. They make you feel
Definitely,
like they're not kind of introspective, dark. They're more like, oh yeah, this is, I'm
definitely.
uplifted a little bit.
Plus, they're really good traveling songs.
Yeah.
I've noticed, like if I'm on a train or something and I put on Pat Metheny, well, perfect. Oh my God, it's like it takes on the whole environment and adds to it.
Yeah.
And it's really quite beautiful. I probably don't know this, but I wrote lyrics with his blessings to a song of his called "In Her Family."
Hmm,
Do you
cool.
remember that song from the Circle game or whatever years ago?
Oh yeah, not this. Yeah, what's that called? This. Yeah. Well, anyway, I know what album you're talking about. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, cool. Oh, right. Yeah. Sure. Of course. Yeah, I know that song.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
Oh,
beautiful
cool.
song. Yeah,
Oh,
and
cool.
I think I wrote the lyrics when I was in college, but then
Oh,
in
wow.
recent years I had recorded it, and
First Circle.
First Circle, yeah, and and yeah, and apparently he loved the lyrics, so because he keeps mentioning me to people, so
Oh, cool.
cool.
Did you ever record it?
Yeah, I did. I'll send you a copy.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to hear that.
I'll write myself a note.
Yeah.
And send Brad a copy. Send Brad into family. Yeah, and there's another song I sang who somebody else wrote. If I Could. Oh,
Yeah.
you know that song, right?
Um.
You should play that song. da 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 da. Da, 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 da,
Oh, oh, right.
da,
Okay,
da.
right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That is, I'm sorry, that is just one of the most beautiful songs ever written, I think.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote gorgeous lyrics.
Cool.
Yeah, really just fantastic. Anyway, yeah, I've known people who have said that they've wanted to do projects. And actually, you're going to laugh at this, but I would like to do a Schofield project.
Cool.
Because I love Schofield tunes. And John Leftwich and I did a gig at Just Jazz about a year and a half, 2 years ago or so. And it was a real mixture of material. We had a very small, almost, chamber orchestra, but a very, very small. But and I did several Schofield tunes, and I kind of quickly wrote lyrics to them too.
Oh, cool.
It was really cool. I loved it because I just love Schofield is just one of my favorites. And when some of his songs just are so cool, and the way he writes cracks me up too, because the head will be very distinctive, and then the bridge is so out.
Right. Yeah.
Like Do Like Eddie, that's one of my favorite ones. So there's this real strong head, and then
Yeah.
And one time, I'm going to share this story with you. I've told this story before, but so he and Seamus Blake, yeah, they came to the old Catalinas.
Yeah.
That was on Cahuenga.
Right.
And I was watching them, and it was in a moment where they were both on stage, and they were both soloing at the same time. And physically, like, they were both facing front, and they both slowly and together started like facing outward. My head like went with them, and I was so blown away by that. That's another reason I like Schofield, because his attitude, he just, he'll do anything. I saw him sit in at an international jazz day in Japan that Beasley and Herbie Hancock had put together, and he sat in with almost every band. Nobody else was sitting in with almost every band, and it was obviously open for that, but I think Schofield's cool.
Yeah, no, I admire that about him. Is that I think that's really cool. People that are that are not afraid to do different stuff. Not afraid to get out of their box.
Yeah.
Because he's done stuff that like with sort of rock type players and jazz type players, and he's done free jazz, and he's done funky jazz, and yeah. I mean, I agree. That's kind of my almost like attention deficit disorder. It's like there's so many different cool things to do. That's I'd always want to be like Schofield, where you can actually do these different things, and pull it off.
Yeah.
And not be relying, because they're some players they rely on a specific context, and they might be great, but they're sort of trapped in that box of, I only do this, I only do straight ahead jazz, or I only do fusion, or I only do blue, or whatever it is, and it's, it's all cool, good music is good music.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just rolling through my head like players who I know who do that, but yeah, it's really cool. Again, Dean Parks kind of pops into my head just because I interviewed him recently, but yeah, his credits were so varied.
Right, yeah.
Classical to rock and roll and jazz and
yeah. No, it's and the interesting thing is when you're in different contexts is then still trying to keep your own voice, but but at the same time being affected by it, so if it's this other thing, you're obviously you're playing differently or singing differently in your case, but still, that still you can be, like Schofield, you're still going to pick him out,
Yeah.
of that different context, even though it's a whole different thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because his voice is so obvious.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
reminds me of sometimes, when I've played and, the band will pick a country song, and immediately after the country song, somebody will come up and say, "Could we hear a country song?"
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, okay, so it made them think of a country song, but it
Right,
wasn't
right.
because we were, our jazz
Yeah,
playing.
they don't realize why that even occurred to them.
Yeah. So I noticed your guitar. That's beautiful guitar on the Green Dolphin Street.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the guitar Taylor was asking about.
Oh,
A Jim Hall, a Sadowski Jim Hall, and yeah, and so when I play in a more of a straight ahead jazz context, that's what I would always play. You know,
yeah.
like whenever I play with John Paisano, for instance, that's the guitar I played.
Oh, yeah. How, um, I mean, I kind of understand this, but I think I would like to know a little bit more
Yeah.
about picking guitars. I mean, I saw that Frizzell movie, and he had like a closet with 20 guitars in it, and I don't know if you saw that, but it's pretty
No,
cute.
I'd like to find that though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix, but
Okay.
um,
Cool.
yeah, and I've, like I said, I've always gone out with guitar players. I've admired guitars. I've gotten into their head frames as far as like, this is a gorgeous guitar, and I've gone, yeah, I
Yeah.
can see it's gorgeous and it sounds beautiful. But I'm just curious, what let's see. I'm not sure what the question is exactly, but how 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 do you pick your guitars? Obviously, it's for sound and looks and whatever, but is there a deeper feeling or a perspective that you're coming from, that you want a guitar to be a certain way?
Well, I guess two things. The first thing I would say is that the interesting thing is when you pick up a guitar, once you've been playing for a good amount of time, you pretty much know within like 10 seconds if the guitar is cool, if it speaks to you, and if it works for you. In other words, you pick up a guitar, oh yeah, you might play it for another half hour, but you already figured out in the first 5 seconds that this is a cool guitar, or it's not. I mean, sometimes I'll be in a guitar store and I'll pick up guitars and I'll go and I'll put it back. And I'll be, what's going on here? I could tell. It's just not
Yeah,
right. It's either it's not a good guitar or it's just not right for me.
yeah.
But the more interesting part of the answer is that the kind of what I was saying before about how guitars can be so different is different guitars have different personalities and different natures. And so when I pick up a guitar, I try to let that be part of the conversation. Um, and so, like, for instance, the guitar I was playing in that last thing, that guitar, I pick up that guitar, it just screams to me jazz,
Yeah.
like more straight ahead jazz, acoustic bass, or trio, or with a vocalist or something, doing standard type stuff, and it really, has a certain sound that's going to pull a certain type of playing out of me, because I'm going to be influenced by that, the instrument, as well as by the context, as opposed to if I pick up another guitar, let's say like a Telecaster or something, like what Bill Frisell's going to play, is that you can still play whatever on it, but you're going to play different stuff, because the notes are going to speak different. The notes are going to have more sustain. They're going to be, more speak quicker. More immediate, or more, like a solid body guitar tends to have a little more, a quicker attack to it. And maybe not quite as round.
Uh-huh.
But it's and then that's why guitar players use effects too, because that's going to pull up
Yeah.
another, because the idea is you respond to that, and you play that sound.
Yeah.
You know, does that kind of answer the
Yeah.
question?
Definitely. Yeah. No, I mean, not that I'm not listening to you, but of course I'm thinking. I have things going on in the back
Yeah.
while I'm listening to you. I was just thinking about how, you know, I mean, at first glance, a singer doesn't have that availability, but there's second glances and third glances, which are singers who use their voices differently.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like Lisa, what's her name, from 20 feet away from stardom, Lisa,
Oh, right. I know who you mean.
whatever her name, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
uses like a looper and
Right. Well,
reverb.
yeah,
So there are things to do with that as well, you know.
yeah. Well, as a vocalist, your basic instrument, for good or bad, it's the same, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So you can't just switch out your. So I'm basically switching out my vocal cords.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Well, I think I'll use these today.
but it's the same person, but still, even playing the same phrase is going to sound a little different on that different guitar. And
Yeah,
I'll deliberately pick up a good guitar to push me in a certain direction, I'll pick up a Strat or something, and that will push me in a more either, bluesy or fusion. It just sort of it sort of wants to do certain things.
yeah, yeah,
Just like your voice certain wants to do certain things,
yeah,
just by the nature of it, by what your range is and stuff, and the tone of it, whatever. And
yeah,
you can affect the color of it, but you can't sing like Tom Jones
yeah, yeah,
just because he has a whole different set of pipes,
uh,
unless you could somehow take his and that's to me like guitars are radically different. I mean, if they are if you're picking up something that is radically different. I mean, obviously
well, probably much more different than almost any other instrument. I mean, horns, from one tenor to another, there's probably a bit of a difference, but
yeah,
not like a
yeah,
guitar.
not as extreme. Yeah,
Guitar
yeah, yeah.
flow.
And so I have a bunch of guitars, just like I probably have, between guitars and basses I have over 30.
Yeah,
And maybe I don't need that many, but I need a lot, to and to help trigger, different things, you know. I don't know.
very interesting. Hi, Toby Simmons. Yeah,
Toby, she's everywhere.
I know, man. She is everywhere. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it's especially for me right now to have this discussion because I've been in the studio a lot recently, and being in the studio and hearing my voice back, and you know, it's definitely. I was just talking with a student about it this morning. It's the process. I think process is really important, and I think for students, especially to understand that process is really important. It's really about process because, it brought to mind that the writer Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, and Love,
Hmm.
she wrote this other book called Big Magic, which basically is about creating. And she said that every time she starts a project, for the first whatever week or a few days or whatever, and then this distaste happens where she feels like quitting or putting down the story. She made a commitment to write every single day. That's her
Yeah.
commitment to herself that she's done for years. But and then so what she does is she just pushes through, and now she knows that is going to occur on every project.
Right, right.
So, and I have a similar thing in my process, from the recording and listening back and, all that stuff. There's this one moment, however long it lasts in the process, where I'm just really unhappy with my sound and my singing and I have to get past that. I have to just keep looking and keep curious about, everything. But the sound, the sound is definitely a big part of it, big part of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But some of my favorite singers don't have these perfect, gorgeous voices. Tom Waits. I just love
Yeah.
Tom Waits. I
Right,
mean,
right, right.
Ray Charles, that first thing we played, his voice was kind of thrashed, but it didn't friggin' matter. God, that was
Yeah,
good,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, the emotion wins out. Yeah, because yeah, by the time we did that, his voice he'd lost some of his high notes. But I mean, you're touching on some really important stuff because I think me and we all deal with that sort of that anxiety, that player's remorse instead of buyer's remorse. Where you do something, you go, man, this kind of sucks. Whether you're writing a song or you're doing a recording, you know, and you know, and especially when it's your own thing, because you have the power, and you're also the driving force behind it. That the minute you take your foot off the gas, that car, that vehicle could sit there for years, or be hauled away eventually to the trash. I've been thinking, because I've got. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm on, but as far as records that are just me, my own, I only got two, and I'm thinking I should have, I should be like Jeff Richmond. I should have 20 records out or something, because, but I would just sit on them, or just think, I'm not ready, it reminds me of this Igor Stravinsky story where like the Rite of Spring, right? The sort of his big hit, right? Is he did a revision of it. He rearranged it, like about 10 years later, after the first one. He did a whole revision of it, but then after that, someone asked him, well, so you did this revision, so are you happy with it? And he said, no, if I worked on it till I was happy with it, I would still be working on the Rite of Spring my whole life. Because it was never where he wanted it to be. So we have to accept, and this was an important lesson for me to learn sometimes when I remember, is that when you're doing something, it's for that moment, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that's your final statement. That's the be all end all of what you do. It's just that's a moment in time, what you played or what you sang or what that performance was, and and that can stand on its own as what happened on that day.
That's so true, and that brings.
And then you can do more stuff.
Yeah.
Then you move on, and it seems like you do. It's because you put out a lot of different, sort of stuff all over, kind of different things. Which is pretty cool. I'm trying to learn how to do that more. That's what kind of my last couple of years. That's been sort of my thing of trying to just record more and put more stuff out, because you just should.
Yeah.
We just should do it.
You can and you should.
Yeah.
That brings to mind too something else that okay, Benny Maupin, who is one of the kings of music and alive and working, and and has been there and done that. So he actually does the same songs over and over and over again. I've had talks about this with people, like, for 3 years you might play the same material, or like you, Georgia. And every time, and like one song that I recorded with my vocal improvisational group and a chamber orchestra, called Message to Prez. So that song has a short head, and it's really cool. It's funky. It's kind of John Scofield-ish, It's a really strong melody, catchy, and he does it a lot, and you hear it on recordings a lot, and it's always different, right? Because even if the band is the same, it's always different, because that's what he's about, and maybe because he grew up and was playing in that period of time where you did play Message to Prez, or whatever, 1,000 times with different people. Maybe that's what led him to find that was a really good process, and just one of the processes that you can use in music to develop and to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, material can evolve.
Yeah.
If assuming the material's any good at all, you can find new angles on it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, jazz standards is a perfect example. There's jazz standards that me or you or whatever. Some tunes I've been playing for 40 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And still like finding new things to play on them. Because that's part of the challenge, is sort of finding your, painting your own version of that same, that same picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of goes along with using form to have freedom,
Yeah.
So Eddie Tudori says hello.
Oh, hey, Eddie.
Yeah, it's I think that's a really cool. It's part of the whole blending of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Um, so deep. It's so very, very deep what we're doing. And I think that's really come to light more this year. Just having the availability of so much music online.
Yeah.
And being able to watch. I just watched a really interesting thing. There is no way I'm going to remember the name of this. Let's see. Where did oh yeah, it was, I want to share this with people because it's so weird. Let's see. So I'm going to, let's see, go to my messages, and it was Susie. I have to search again.
Oh.
Phone.
They'll have to wait.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have to wait. So this. Let's see if I can find this. No, I can't find this, but I know where it is, but it's just with all my different, all my different computer things that have been going on. It was I think it's a Balkan group. And I think they're kind of well known, maybe, but I just hadn't heard them.
Is it a vocal group or vocal or instrumental and vocal or
instrumental and vocal? There was. Let's see. You know what? I know where it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share this with you guys because it's really. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I played for a couple years with a Balkan gypsy band.
You did?
That has like clarinet and accordion and like full on, like the bagpipes made out of a goat and different, all these weird odd time things and stuff. It's pretty fun, pretty educational.
Bagpipes made out of a goat.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but it's it's an instrument from like Bulgaria or Serbia, or I forget.
Here it is. This is called Daka Braka. Let me just show you a little bit of it. This is so, and I think they've done a lot of various things that I should know.
The National Memorial Day concert, Sunday, May 30th at 8, 7 Central.
They really stretch. Sorry.
Why are people
they really
this
stretch
$89
from
portable AC?
ethnic to rock, and they're socially conscious and very interesting. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do and sound. Just a little bit of this.
Cool.
So they're called Daka Braka. So many people, by the way, have been doing bird things lately.
Yeah. Well, bird is forever.
I'm going to move and jump ahead a little bit. And Jump ahead. Anyway, you get the idea. I had to share that because that was from this last weekend.
Cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So what are you working on now?
Well, I'm working on a solo guitar record, and then and also on a project with three horns, doing some of my originals with three horns and rhythm section. And we're actually gonna do a live stream on what's the date? June 11th. June 11th, Friday, June 11th.
What are you doing?
Do a live stream like on Facebook.
Oh, Friday, June 11th.
Yeah, it's called Hidden
What
Agenda.
time?
I'm sorry, what?
What time?
Oh, it's gonna be 7:30 or 8.
Okay.
We haven't nailed it down. I think it's gonna be 8. Yeah, I think
Okay,
we're gonna do
cool.
8.
Is that with the horns or not?
That's with the horns. Yeah. So that's
Sounds interesting.
yeah. So that'll be fun, and yeah, and also doing there's a David Becker, this guitar player that I did a record with.
Yeah.
I did a couple records right before everything shut down. So I did one with him and one with Alan Hines, another guitar player. But anyway, we did a duo record, a tribute to John Abercrombie, and we're doing like a house concert, backyard concert actually. On what's the week before that? On the 5th, Saturday the 5th.
Get out of here. Now I'm working. Otherwise I would come.
Oh, that's your conference room, right?
Yeah, damn. That sounds. Can you do that again?
Sure, we'll do it again.
I want to go to that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do it again.
Hey, I wrote lyrics to Abercrombie's Hippityville too.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow. So you've been busy. Yeah. But those two, like kind of what you were saying, what I'm working on is so I did those two records like they came out just before, like I said, everything shut down. Like here's one. Here's the one with Alan Hines.
Cool.
With Alan Hines and Chris Wabich and Lyman Moneros, and that's Alan Hines is more of a fusion, a guitar player, but I made him play standards with acoustic bass, and it's pretty cool because he has this cool take on playing that kind of stuff.
Get that one. Held to a different standard. That's good.
Yeah, and so we're doing like modern tunes, like we do.
Yeah.
By Pork by Hat, and we do Fee Fi Fo Fum and Fall by Wayne Shorter and Falling Grace, things like that.
Yeah.
And this is here's the good commercial part of the here's the one with John, the one we did.
Oh,
with David.
Cool.
And on this one, like I play like some electric sitar and some 12-string and some, so we sort of did different combinations, but basically just the two of us.
Is there 3 people on the cover?
That's my daughter did a drawing of a picture of a guy taking a picture of us because we were playing at a music at a not the NAMM show but the AMP show, and so if you can still do it better, you can see so that's a guy taking a picture, and see I'm in the middle and then David's on the
right. I thought it might be John.
Yeah. Well, actually he's on the back cover, his outline is there.
Oh.
But he is on the cover.
Oh, I see. That's cool.
Yeah. Actually, my daughter designed that.
Nice. That's really beautiful.
Anyway, the idea is just it's just to keep like things that occur to you. Yeah. Record them, because like me and David Becker, for instance, we've been playing off and on together for years. We say, oh, we should record, but of course we don't. And then 6 months later or a year later, we'll you play in the amateur or something. We should record. Oh, and then we don't, and then and same thing with Alan Hines. Like we're playing together, and kind of, oh, this is kind of fun, because we both teach at MI, and so
Yeah.
we would play on the breaks, and we should record, and then and so I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna, these things that come up, I'm just gonna record them.
Yeah.
So these are both like just go in the studio and play live and see what happens and hope for the best. And like I was saying, it's just a moment in time. It's not like, it doesn't have to be kind of blue, you know, or a Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yeah. You know who's good at that is John Stoll.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Another very interesting guitar player, right?
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
played with him a bit. I want to play with him more. He's a really cool guitar player.
Yeah, I
And
bet
a
you
great
guys,
listener, a great listener. What we were talking about before.
I bet you guys would come up with a good duo.
Yeah. No, we played a couple times just like at the NAMM show and stuff, and it really felt natural. Didn't feel like we had to adjust.
Yeah. One time I had a workshop with him and Larry Kuntz.
Oh wow,
That was really
there's
nice.
another cool guitar player.
Quite nice. I think we
Yeah.
did a little concert and we did a workshop. Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Well, let's listen to one more thing
Okay.
from you. And
My list is something very different.
yeah, let me see. I mean,
There's a thing I did with a tabla player on there.
and by the way, Chris Blondell joined us here.
Oh, cool. Hey, Chris.
I see you have him on here. Lois Mahalia, Chris Blondell, Subir, is that the top?
Yeah. So this is a tabla player that I've never met, and he lives in India, and I met Tom Bartolak hooked us up because I was doing this thing called bunker sessions, where we would, the idea was you can this the height of the pandemic where you combine different musicians, there's you can't play together,
Yeah.
and so I met him, and he said, I want to do it. So he sent me this track of him playing tablas, and so I put this thing, put a 12 string and then a electric guitar thing over it, and turned it into this little thing. But it's basically just sort of an improv, but starting from his part and then layering it, and that's what it
Cool.
is.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That was amazing.
You've got the wrong way to practice.
And the right way. Wow, that
Wait a minute. I want to see that. I want to know the right way to practice scales.
was wow. So did you say he sent you his part?
Right. Yes. So he just played that tabla solo. I guess with the idea there'd be something on top of it.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell him what to play. He just sort of he just And he sent that to me, and then I had to figure out what to do with it. And so first I figured out the 12-string guitar part, and then I put a guitar solo sort of thing over it.
That was
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
and I liked your shirt, the white shirt too.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my deliberately trying
I'm sure it
a
was.
little, a little more Indian.
I just had to
Uh,
mention that because that was good. That was cool, man. Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, wow. Yeah. So there's been some cool stuff that's come out. Do you want to say anything about the gig on Sunday?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll say something. Yeah. So well, this Sunday it's Michael's on Riverside. There's no cover. A cool hang, a large patio with good food, and it's in Toluca Lake on Riverside. And this week it's going to be David Arnay and Edwin Livingston and Chris Blondell and myself.
Ooh, what a nice band. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hope I
and
can
it
come.
kind of changes up as far as I mean, I'm always there until someone pays me to go somewhere else or something, or I get fired. But yeah, and so yeah, and we play, yeah, we play instrumental, you
Yeah.
know, and kind of different stuff, jazz related.
It's great. Take it from me.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's just, I mean, it's kind of like sitting at the Blue Whale, and hearing the music. I mean, it's not, the environment is different, but it's, the music is like that. And which
Oh,
is
thanks.
for me very, very satisfying.
Yeah, well, it was just so great to be out playing with people
Yeah.
at the same time again.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
yeah, and all these wonderful different people,
Yeah,
Mark Kooper was there one week, Chris
right, yeah, yeah,
Mandel, Chris
yeah,
Wabbage. I
yeah,
mean, on and on. So it's really
yeah.
great. Well, I want to thank you so much for hanging out for 2 hours with me. It's really generous of you,
Thank
and
you.
really fun to talk with you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was a blast
Oh, you're welcome.
to be a part of
Yeah, I'll just,
part of your
you know,
massive roster of interviews.
Mahesh was supposed to be on yesterday, but he wasn't feeling up to it.
Hmm.
So, and as it turned out, I don't even know how I could have done it anyway with the
Oh, and then it worked
computer. The
out.
computer hell day, it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the Earthlink and Apple,
Hmm.
and plus my husband is much less patient than I am. I am up here
Yeah,
and he is down here, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
yeah, so yeah. But anyway, tomorrow is Anita Robles.
Oh, cool.
And it's really exciting to have her on. And then Thursday through Sunday, I'll be posting from my archives. And I don't have my book in front of me, but you folks can check it out. And it's always good because the people I've talked to have been really great. So if you want to find out exactly who's coming on just in one fell swoop, go to my website, CathySegal-Garcia.com, and you can see. And also there is a link to the archives. And I archive everything on Dropbox. So, so there you go. And by the way, Brad, if you want to know, you're 283.
Man. So there was 282 people that were more interesting to talk to than me.
You could look at it like that, but I wouldn't particularly look at it like that. I just look at it as
I might be up
as
in the
many.
hundreds.
That reminds me of what an old boyfriend used to say, which I won't go into. He used to say, he used to tell people, yeah, my old girlfriend said, what did he say? My girlfriend said that I said, what number am I on your favorite or your best? And she said, well, maybe 150.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who said that? Alan Walker.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That sounds like Alan.
Yeah, that's one of his famous stories. Anyway, so yeah, the gig is on every Sunday, Roland, and it's called Michael's. It actually was the old Alphonse's in the old days, and it's on Riverside near Patty's. I
Yeah.
mean, if you know where Patty's is, which most people do, it's just a few doors down.
Or Bob's, if you know where Bob's.
Oh yeah, it's near
You,
Bob's
you
as
know, it,
well.
it's maybe 2 blocks west on the same side,
Yeah.
on the side of the street.
But Patty's, man.
between
Patty's.
Pass and Cahuenga.
I think more people know where Patty's is.
Yeah, okay. Or Trader Joe's.
Or Trader Joe's,
That's
yeah.
over there too.
Hi, Charlotte Blevins. Hello.
Oh, hey, Charlie.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay.
All right. And I just want to say that for those of you thinking that I might be working this Saturday with the jam session, that is not so. I work the first and the third Saturdays of every month. Brad sometimes plays with us, and I'm just using piano for a minute, and but he'll be back. And yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, the whole piano thing's a little misguided, but you know.
I know it is. And on that note, thanks, Brad.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.